Today, we act on climate. We act on climate because it's imperative. We act on climate because the science is clear. Carbon pollution is damaging our oceans, it's damaging our forests, it's damaging our economy, our health, and our quality of life. And today we act on climate because our experience is clear. We've witnessed increased risk of wildfires. We've suffered through drought. And we've seen reduced snowpack threaten our water supplies for our fish, for our crops, for power generation, and for our people. When we consider the challenges our communities face from climate change, we are compelled to act. We've experienced record high global temperatures the last 3 years in a row, and just last month, the hottest August ever. Our record-breaking drought and our catastrophic wildfires in 2015 put an exclamation point on this for Washington State. And the ramifications continue to be felt today. Washingtonians are being displaced from their property and their homes on the West Coast due to sea level rise and flooding. And they are having to rebuild their fire-destroyed homes on the east side of the mountains. We've seen farmers run out of water. We've seen people's wells go dry. Not only are we seeing less water, but warmer water threatens our iconic Pacific Northwest salmon, and ocean acidification harms our shellfish. Our communities depend on snow-fed water supplies for drinking water, irrigation for agriculture, and most of our state's electrical power. It's about the air we breathe. It's about the health of our families. All of this is why we're here today, to adopt Washington's first ever rule to cap and reduce carbon pollution. Action that makes meaningful progress. Action that is responsible for our children. Action that is reasonable. To make an important down payment to do our fair share to tackle climate change. Not only is the first regulation of its kind in Washington State, but our approach is the first of its kind in our country. We are using the state's Clean Air Act to limit carbon pollution and to guarantee reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. It's a unique approach that provides flexibility for our businesses to trade independently amongst themselves and with other markets. In short, the Clean Air Rule sets a cap on carbon pollution in Washington and slowly reduces that cap over time. It initially applies to 24 businesses and organizations that are the largest emitters of carbon pollution. These organizations include natural gas distributors, petroleum fuel producers and importers, power plants, metal manufacturers, waste facilities, and government facilities. With today's actions, we will address the activities responsible for about 2/3 of all carbon pollution in Washington, and I repeat, about 2/3 of all carbon pollution in Washington. We start by requiring these entities to reduce their emissions by an average of 1.7% a year, beginning in 2017. They can do this in a variety of ways. First, in a very direct way, by reducing emissions at their facility. Or they can use alternative pathways. If a business cannot reduce its own emissions, it can develop a project that reduces carbon pollution in Washington, such as creating an energy efficiency program or building electric vehicle charging stations. Businesses can also comply by buying carbon credits from others in the program or from other approved carbon markets. The journey to this landmark rule was not an easy one. And we certainly didn't get here alone. Beyond the usual public process, we worked extensively with both environmental and industry stakeholders, engaging before we even started to draft a proposal, listening and responding to comments on drafts of the proposal, and ultimately arriving at this final plan. I want to make it clear, the rule we are unveiling today reflects many of those recommendations that we received, such as ensuring that we actually reduce emissions while at the same time anticipating business growth. 8 years ago, the Washington State Legislature set targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to return to 1990 emission levels by the year 2020, to cut those emissions by another 25% by 2035, and to cut those 1990 levels in half by 2050. Washington is not on track to reach those limits if we maintain business as usual. But with adoption of this rule today, we are moving in the right direction, because we will achieve a nearly 20 million metric ton reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2035. I am proud of this clean air rule, and I am proud of the incredible journey that I've been a part of to get to this place today. And I am proud that Washington State is taking a monumental step forward in tackling climate change.